It's May 21st, 2003, and we feel very fortunate to have Margaret Peggy Boyce and her husband Jim Boyce to tell us their story and their remembrances of Saugatuck. So, Peggy, let's start with you.
All right.
And let's just start off with, how long have you lived in Saugatuck?
I've lived here all my life. I was born in the local little hospital, and that is currently now the Timmel Gallery.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that was the hospital because the doctor's office was in that yellow building right in front of it, and it was very convenient. And that was a long time ago, Judy.
Who was your doctor?
Dr. R.J. Walker was my family doctor.
Wow.
Everybody's family doctor forever. And that was...
Did they have a lying-in bed in that hospital? Did
Well,
your mom stay in that
Yes,
bed?
she did.
Oh.
Well, I know that I was born in the summer because she always said, well, we went to the beach first while I timed things with Papa's watch, and he went swimming. And then she went to the hospital and I was born. But my brother David had been born in February, and she went ahead of time so that she was there.
And it was in that same
place.
Same little building.
I am the third child in a family of 4 children, and all of us were born there.
So when did your family first come to Saugatuck?
My mother was born here also, and I have a picture somewhere of the house in which she was born. And my father came from Chicago. There used to be a Jackson Park to Saugatuck sailboat race. And he came with his family. They sailed in that race. And in order to make a long-distance call, you had to go to the telephone office. You couldn't just pick up a phone and dial. And so the long-distance operator, the girls up at the office, would put in the calls for them. And my mother was a telephone operator, along with her sister, Abby. And the 2 women worked there. Mother got $2 a day, and Abby $1 a day. And they were on duty 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And they slept there. They were
And so your
there.
father then...
He would come in to call Chicago, and he started dating Abby, and then when they would come back to the telephone office, she always told these stories. Mother would have this big chocolate cake and all kinds of treats, and so he married the lady who made the cakes and did the treats. So that's...
About when did that happen to you?
Let's see. They were married in October of 1927.
Wow.
So, and then he stayed here. They had a property out on the local Silver Lake and a farm, and he went to a little 6-month agricultural course at Michigan State, and he was going to farm, and they were going to have the self-sufficient family farm. That was his daddy's dream, and they had built a summer home here, Webster Sr., and my father was David Webster, and he married Mother, and they lived out on the farm, and the grandparents had a summer home out there.
Do you have a picture of some of these people?
I have, I didn't get them all out.
Did you have one under here?
I don't have my grandmother and grandfather. I did have.
Okay.
It's Jim's family.
Oh, okay.
The only picture I have of my almost idyllic childhood, there we go.
Oh, good.
There's my brother and myself and our calf named Daisy. This was in 1943. And this was from 1942.
Wow.
4 Websters and our team of horses. They were Lady and Mary, and everybody kind of helped with the haying.
And that was out there on the Silver Lake property,
Yeah.
which I would not think of that as farmland.
Oh,
no.
it was a working farm, but it was very sandy. It was difficult to get a good crop. It never became the self-sufficient family farm, believe me. But we didn't know, kids.
Yeah.
We had 4 cows, and we had the team of horses, and we had chickens, and there was always eggs and milk and a huge garden, and they tried different crops. You know, there was corn, because I remember hoeing rows of corn that were a mile long or so.
What happened to that farm?
It's still in our family, but it's been divided, and each one of the 4 sibs has part of it. And my brother Dave owns the big family house, and my sister, who died, Mary Bell, her son was Stevie Bell, and he was a police officer here, and he was killed in a gun accident. And his widow and 2 little girls, they own 1/3 of that property, and that's where they live.
1/4.
Well,
Did you give some of that land to a conservancy or
Nope.
something?
No,
That's
the
different.
DNR owns the marsh now.
Okay.
All the marshland went to the DNR, and Jimmer has a house out there now.
Okay.
I gave some to him so he could build his house. And the boys, my sons, do something called a medieval fun fest out there, and they play there a lot. They have a good time.
Peggy, tell us what Butler Street looked like when you were a little girl. What
Okay.
stores do you remember, or what stood out?
For 3 years, from the time I was 6 until I was 9, we lived on Butler Street in Saugatuck, and the house was located next to the Wickwood,
Uh-huh.
and right there on Butler Street. One of the things that we loved was the Flint store, and that was a general store. My father always bought his Wolverine shoes there, and we could buy dresses. My mother would buy clothes or thread or fabric or bedding, and the downstairs was fantastic because that's where all the housewares and lamps and just everything. It was a wonderful store. We loved it. There were 2 grocery stores when I was little. One of them was Schaefer's, and I think, what's in there now? The Butler Pantry
Oh, okay.
was a grocery
but there
store.
was the IGA down there that was run by Sessions, or was it
Yes,
A&P?
actually there were 3. I don't know, I get mixed up. There was an A&P store where,
It used to be where the soda lounge was at.
well, they moved this. There's something there now than one of those gift shops down there. Flint's was on the corner where Kilman's is.
Uh-huh.
The next store south was the A&P store. That was great because they would grind the coffee and it smelled so good. Another block the other way, near, I try to locate, I'm going to say On Track, but that's Land Sharks now. And in the middle of the block was Sessions IGA. So you had lots of choices for grocery stores, and every one of them also had a meat market with it. So you could get, and you'd go up to the counter at Sessions and you told them what you wanted, and they would gather things off the shelves for you and set it out. There was no shopping carts. That was later.
Did you ever watch the goings-on at the pavilion?
Oh, yes, I was kind of little, but apparently I was allowed to wander around a lot because I would go in there and sit, and there are pictures in the video about the pavilion. I told at that time that I loved to watch the girl singers. I knew that someday I would be wearing a beautiful gown, standing in front of a band, and singing while people danced. So I did go in there, but by the time I was old enough to go dancing, that kind of a program was no longer there. They did special events and a lot of roller skating. The summer was more single events. For example, George and Joanne would have their dance recital there, and there was the artist's ball in the summer, but there wasn't a steady orchestra there, and some historian could tell you about when that left off. It was somewhere during the war.
Did you ever take art lessons from Cora Bliss Taylor?
Not as a child. I did as an adult.
Oh.
And that would have been in the 50s.
Okay.
In the 1950s, Jane Van Dis and I were in the same classes, and I go to her house and I can see some of the same subjects painted that she and I did. But my very first oil painting I did with, as an adult, I did with her, and I still have it somewhere stuck around here.
When did you start going to the Congregational Church?
When that 3 years that we lived in Saugatuck, we were across the street from the parsonage. And
the parsonage was where?
Was on Butler Street, and
Right across from Wickwood, not on the corner next to Konings, which would be just north of where Wiley lives now.
the next house over, and I don't know the number. We were 526 Butler Street on our side, so it would be about 522 or 3. It would be an odd number. And it's a big white house, and it was it belonged to the Elliots.
Okay, that's
for
right.
quite a while after it was sold by the Congregational Church. The Congregational Church bought a parsonage a little closer to the church, and they wanted to get off of the main street there.
So, how long?
Anyway,
How long?
So I was 6.
Okay.
And started singing in the little kids' choir because Floyd Maycroft was the same age as me, and we became friends across the street. And I started going to Sunday school there at that time. And then in the 40s, in high school, I sang in the choir. And as a choir adventure, we were joining with the Methodist Church to sing an Easter sunrise cantata. And we needed men, and I said, I know a guy that sings bass, and it was the boyfriend, Jimmy Boyce. And that's when he started singing in our church choir.
So, Jim, how long have you been singing in that church choir then?
Since about 1947, I guess. 6, 7, around
Whenever that was.
47. Well,
Well, I
that's
started singing there because that's where all the pretty girls were.
that's good. Can either of you remember anything? Some people mention that there used to be some gypsies that would
Oh, yeah.
come to town. Maybe out. Were they on Wiley Street or Center Street? What do you remember?
The only thing I remember is they camped by the big sand dune just north of Gosshorn Lake on 65th Street, at the base of that big sand dune. And I remember going down there with my father and several other men from the community. I don't remember what happened, but I know that they were
To do business, or to do business, or to tell them to go away?
To move on or something.
Oh.
But I do know that at that point in time, everything on the farm was locked up. The cattle were not allowed out. The barns were closed, where normally everything was wide open. And it was just a short period of time, and the group moved on. But their vehicles were very splashy, you know, bright.
Tell us about them. Yeah. Were they like a truck?
But I don't know how old it was. I have no idea. Just
Were they pulled by horses, or were they trucks, or?
No, they had cars.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember animals,
Okay.
but they had cars.
And what did the people do here?
What did they do?
Yeah.
They're just moving through.
Oh, okay.
They weren't. I mean, if they would work for you, if you had work, but they couldn't be trusted. Nobody trusted them. They'd steal you blind, and nobody would let them into the house. Oh, cat's on the microphone. Well, animals all get into the act.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I remember about the gypsies.
I have to, for me, I never remember ever seeing a gypsy, but my mother always very carefully braided my hair in very tight pigtails, and my sister, who had beautiful curly red hair, because she said, I don't want you looking like a bunch of gypsies. So we always had to be spit and polished and put together very carefully when we went to town, and I don't remember that was after, he's a little older than I am, and that might have been the last time that they were in the area. I don't know. I personally never saw any gypsies, but she was very much aware of the gypsies. And
Now, did you, as a young child, did you go to Douglas very often?
well, yes, because out on the farm, we had farm animals, and Kramer's food or feed mill was there.
Where was that?
It's still there. It's encased in aluminum now. It's not very attractive, but there was a great feed mill there. It's one block down.
Right next to where, across the street from that little marina.
Oh, Naughton's Marine?
Well, really, Naughton's is a little bit farther south, but there's two marinas there, side by
You
side.
bet.
One of them's Naughton, and I don't remember what the other one is.
I don't
but
either,
right
but
across
I
the
know
road
it.
was that big building, and that was the feed
Oh.
mill.
So we went there frequently to get feed for the chickens and grain for the cows and so forth. And then the other thing in Douglas was the Morgan Ice Company. We had no electricity on our farm, and we had to take home 50-pound blocks of ice, which my pop would put on the bumper of the 35 Ford in a burlap bag so it wouldn't get dirty, and away we'd go home again. So that was Douglas. And
Where was the Morgan Ice Company?
right at the
Right across the street from the
From
feed
the
mill,
feed
but
mill.
it burned
Oh.
down.
Oh, yeah, okay.
yeah, that burned down.
And this was all down right there, close to the old basket factory.
Yes, and
Well,
the,
the basket
I guess
factory was on this side of the bridge.
no, it wasn't,
No,
One.
no, it's where Point Pleasant Marina is.
and that's
Well, I
the
knew it
same
was-
location even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
What was happening at the old burned out basket factory?
there, I believe the ice company was built on that site.
Oh,
I really
okay.
think it was. Prior to that, when we were really young, Caneras had an ice house down by the Saugatuck Bridge, and that was ice that was sawed out of the river in the
Oh.
winter and packed in sawdust, and then you could get that ice to use. And
That was behind
It was-
Twin Gables,
Ah,
the Canara Ice
yes, but when Morgan Ice came with their clean ice made from really
Water.
city water, and it was frozen hard, and it stayed. You know, that was the end of the Canara Ice people.
did you ever get out to Lakeshore Drive? I mean, that's where the wealthy people lived, or what was the mystique about Lakeshore Drive?
We would drive down there along the lake shore. We loved to go to Pier Cove,
Uh-huh.
and we had always had a car because of where we lived. And my father loved to swim. He'd been on his swim team, and my mother loved the beach because she was a Saugatuck girl. And what a better way to have 4 clean kids at night. Take them all to the beach. Everybody swim. And then you come home and go
So
to
you
bed.
went to Douglas Beach or Oval Beach
All
or
the
Pier
beaches.
Cove?
All the beaches.
All the beaches.
I spent a lot of time evenings. My
Uh-huh.
dad would work at the farm, and it was
Uh-huh.
hot and no air conditioning. And then after supper, and there was a group of families that had a Thursday night beach party at the Oval all summer, every Thursday. You
Who
just
were some of those families?
Britain, Funks, Alita Graves, Jesse Veets. There were probably, I don't know, 20, 30 people.
What fun.
And it was great because you
Yes.
could build a bonfire and bring hot dogs. And Jessie always brought her big coffee pot.
Who's Jessie?
Jessie Veets was a single lady who lived all her life with her parents, and the house is still in mint condition, and it was title of Tinker was there last. Now this
Oh,
year it's
right.
going to be something else, but it's on Water Street, and a special evening treat would be to go down to Jessie's house, and Mr. and Mrs. Veets would be there, and we could sit on the porch and watch the people.
Oh,
That was always a big
in
fun.
tourist towns,
Yes,
sure.
Yes, in the summer. But she grew up here. She was a native lady, and she was I think she was my mother's contemporary.
Jim, let's hear from you. Let's hear a little about Gibson.
Well, first I'm going to go back up a little bit. She was talking
Good.
about the lakeshore.
Oh, good. All right.
My experience with the lakeshore is we would go from our place north of Saugatuck in Gibson to Glen to get
that was a
tractor parts.
Oh, right.
And in order to get to Glen in those days, you went through downtown Saugatuck, across the bridge, through downtown Douglas, out to the water tower, turned at the water tower, and went straight south.
Tell me where the water tower was.
On the corner by Douglas,
West Shore.
golf course in Douglas,
Oh, okay, West Shore.
West Shore. And you turned and went south, and went straight south till you got to the road outside of Glen. I don't know the name, and you turned and went into Glen.
Wow.
Okay, we'd get the tractor parts. And then on the way home, or maybe it was the other way around, but we would go straight north up the lake shore till we got to Center Street in Douglas, and then we'd come back, and then in order to get home, we came up the streets, and went around here, and went around the cemetery. That road out there, Washington, was not there at the time. You came this way
This was
to
the highway.
get to 64th Street.
The boost.
It wasn't even the Blue Star. It
No,
was
it wasn't, right.
M11, I believe, was the number on it. But that was the highway, and they didn't go through anyone's property. They went around it.
Oh, good.
But anyway.
So
living out
what was your impression of Lakeshore? I mean, were there big houses
just
there,
big
or were there
houses out
still,
there, but we never stopped.
were there some farms still out there at that time?
Not out on the lake shore. I don't remember
Just
any
the-
farms, but there was if you went straight south of Douglas. Then there was farms on both sides of the road.
Yeah.
But the lake shore, it seems to me, was
The Jager farm was the last holdout, and that was a huge farm. They really.
yeah. But still, from driving down the road in front of Jager's, you didn't see the farm until you started coming.
Where
in
was
there.
the Jager farm?
It
Just
was.
part of where the community church is in Douglas is part of the Jager farm.
Oh.
It was big because when we were teens, they were the ones who would they would do hay rides for kids and sleigh rides in the winter, and they had orchards, and they were always very welcoming. It was sad when they decided they were no longer going to farm because that was an integral part of
The community.
of the whole area.
Okay,
But
now back
Gibson-
to Gibson.
Was four corners with a church and a school on 65th and 140th. And we lived.
Did they have a post office?
Nope.
Nope.
Well, at one point in time they did, but not in my day.
Okay.
And then 1 mile south of that is where the Boyce farm was.
The Boyce farm.
Boyce farm.
Boyce farm. Oh, okay.
Well, I was throat full of whatever. But anyway, that I walked and went to the Gibson school every day. We had a fruit farm, and
Well, how long had your family had that farm? How long
my
had your family been?
grandfather bought it in the vicinity of 1910, 1911,
Where
my
did your
father came
grandfather
here-
come from?
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
Another one of these where you're going to raise your family in the
In the country.
family supported or a self-supporting farm in the countryside. And Grandpa Boyce, my grandpa Boyce, bought the farm in about my dad came here when he was 12 years old. That was 1912. And that was about the same time that Felt
Oh, yes.
bought the Felt estate. And so my grandpa and Mr. Felt knew each other from Chicago.
Oh, wow.
My grandfather was a chemist, and Mr. Felt, of course, invented the comptometer. I can even show you some of my grandfather's inventions.
This is
But
what life was.
There it is, unopened.
Okay, so let's click on again, Bill.
He's on.
And would you tell us about this can of
Well,
cold dust?
I don't know anything more about it than a scouring cleanser. My grandfather was the inventor of this stuff.
It was a detergent, and
It's
it was
a detergent. He came up with detergents.
Huh.
And it's, well, he never kept the patent. It was picked up by, I think, Procter and Gamble, but I'm not sure.
Huh.
So he never really got the credit for it. But anyway,
So your grandfather was a chemist. And he came
bought
up
the
here.
farm property out here and
and
moved Grandma and the family out here.
Mhm.
And,
There were how many Boyces?
pardon?
How many children?
7,
8.
8. I don't know. I can't
Now,
keep track of my own.
Did he and Mr. Felt maintain a friendship when
yeah.
they were
Well,
here?
as far as I know, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was in the Felt mansion. I used to take my little basket and going to peddle them peaches, for crying out loud. They were raising their own, but the nice ladies that were cooks and stuff like that, why, they...
Buy his peaches.
Uh-huh.
He also invented or perfected homogenization and vegetable shortening.
Yep.
And
Wow.
he had some kind of a plastic invention. Remember raised lettering on glass,
Yes.
where you would have these. That was one of his inventions. And
Well, what did he do up here with all that chemistry
He
know-how?
did nothing here. This was just a farm to raise the
hobby.
family, a house.
place to
Oh.
put your
And
family.
then
And
did
then
he
my
still
dad-
work in Chicago?
He stayed and came back and forth to Chicago.
And did he use the boats from Chicago? Did he come up
came
on
by train,
those?
as far as I know.
Interurban was going.
The interurban?
He'd come by train to Holland or Grand Rapids or wherever he came to by train
Uh-huh.
and get the interurban, and then they'd drop him off right within several miles of the house or bring him here to Saugatuck.
And then wife and kids would go pick him up. Wow.
And my aunts and uncles, my dad went to school in Holland, and Mom too, rode the interurban
Uh-huh.
in Holland, because both Mom and Dad lived in Gibson. That's where they met.
They met. How did they meet?
Going to school together.
On the bus or something?
Well, on the interurban.
Oh, they
They
met
rode
on the
interurban
interurban.
to Dad to pick up the interurban, had to walk past Mother's house to get to pick up the interurban.
So they were high school and
They
school
went to
sweethearts.
high school basically together. And
And tell us about your school days. You lived in
I
Gibson,
lived in Gibson.
and did they have a rural school there?
One bedroom school, yeah. But one room school. But it was really quite modern. We had a furnace in it
Ah,
and a pitcher pump
uh-huh.
and chemical toilets, so we didn't have to go to the outhouse. We were inside, so it was modern as far as country schools went. There was, of course, electricity,
Uh-huh.
and there was anywhere from 12 to 15, 18 kids.
Who were some of any classmates that are still around here in Saugatuck?
Ralph Baker is one of the only one that might still be around here. They used to live on 64th Street. I guess he still does. I don't know for sure.
Uh-huh.
Merlin.
Is Merlin Ballink
Oh,
was a classmate.
She was
And,
younger, but
uh-huh. She went to school there. So then,
There's other
Tices.
kids that were there that are still around, and I can't come up with their names. There's a Lobenhofer, now that was their maiden name,
wow.
that's still around here someplace that I knew, but not through our school, only because she went to the McClare School, and the McClare School and the Gibson School used to play games
Oh.
back and forth.
Little spirited rivalry, huh?
Rivalry, yeah.
Yeah. And where was the McClare School?
Over on by just off of Blue Star Highway, across from what's the big trailer park up there?
Johnson's?
No, Shangri-La.
Oh, Shangri-La. Oh,
Just north of Shangri-La on
yeah.
56th Street, no 60th.
Your mother teach?
Well, Mother taught there, Aunt Mary, Aunt Dorothy taught there, Aunt Irene taught there.
Huh.
The family was school
Teachers.
teachers, my mother's family.
Well, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Holland.
Holland High School.
I couldn't go to Saugatuck, not Sin City.
Oh, really?
Although my aunts on my father's side pretty much went to Saugatuck, all the kids. My dad didn't, but I wasn't allowed to go to Saugatuck High School. I had to go to Holland.
Peggy, do you have pictures of his relatives?
I have pictures of his, he has them now,
Okay.
I think. No,
Let's
wait.
see some
No,
of
I
the
don't.
folks. What
This
is
is-
this one off with these guys?
Oh, that's my family. This
Okay.
this was the Bauhan. That would be Jim's mother's parents,
And where did,
And
what
they-
were their roots?
German.
German?
And she was a Peterson. She was from Norwegian.
Oh,
And they came
Well, but the story on my Grandpa Bauman was he was
adopted.
left on a doorstep.
wow.
So he doesn't really know,
Uh-huh. You can't follow the genealogy
yeah,
there.
but he was
Okay.
adopted.
All right.
And he was a handsome gentleman. And he, as a young man, took violin lessons from my grandpa, John Wheeler,
Huh.
whose violin is hanging on my wall right now.
Huh.
So there was a lot of connections.
Uh-huh.
And the other connection was when they first came to the Saugatuck area, they stayed in the apartment downtown upstairs over the post office, which was the Wheeler house. And this was the Buffalo house. There is some history, I believe, of the Buffalo house. They called it that because there was a traveling circus and the buffalo got loose and went in the post office. And after that, they always called it the Buffalo house. But it was
Now, which building is that?
it's gone now. But it was torn down. It had been made of used lumber from Singapore, and there was not one whole board in it. We lived in it as a young married couple. No insulation, cold, cold, cold. We couldn't heat it, and it was a really sad old house. And we did tear it down, and now I'm on the Historic Commission, and my conscience bothers me only a little because it was really
When
not
we-
livable.
Got married.
Well, first of all, I want to know,
Okay.
if you went to Holland High School and Peggy was down here in Saugatuck, and you tell me you couldn't come to Saugatuck because the family frowned on it, how did you meet?
My mother got a job, summer job, washing dishes at Plummer's Restaurant in Saugatuck.
Which place was that?
The art glass alcove is there now.
Okay.
And Aunt Irene was the salad lady and got the job for Mother. And Mother cut her finger badly on a broken glass in the dishwater and didn't want to lose the job. So she said that I was going to wash dishes for her so she didn't lose the job.
You were 17.
Well, I washed dishes. And I was so good at it that Mother was given a different job. I had my own job. I got a raise. And I met her.
She came in to eat supper.
No, I worked.
She was a waitress.
All teenagers work in restaurants. And
in Saugatuck.
Yes, and his mother and his aunt were school teachers, but in order to augment this little bitty income that they were earning, and I bet they weren't earning $3,000 a year because each one of them had their own country school at that time. And I know when she started teaching, she got $1,000 for the whole school year and was required to do all the janitorial work also.
Oh.
Now that was further back, but even this was in the late 40s, by 1947 probably. I don't think either one of them made $3,000 a year, and they still were doing the custodial work.
Wow.
Because teaching never came up to a livable wage until the master contract was born, and the teachers organized a little bit. Now everyone's upset with them, but women were paid half price
Right.
for teaching than what men were paid. And I suppose this deviates, but I know it wasn't that long ago, because when Bud and Carrie Morse came to town, and Bud was the band director, and I know that he was paid $7,000, and Carrie was hired to teach elementary at half price. And that's the way it was.
Yeah, it was a true in industry also.
Right, and that was maybe by 1960. I'm not sure when they came, but it wasn't that long ago.
Oh, sure.
So anyway, that's why these school teachers were working in the restaurants to augment their salary. And I was a waitress. And my sister worked there. She got me the job, and I just finished my freshman year in high school.
So he was an older man if
Oh,
he was
he was-
17.
Well, not
No,
only
maybe
that,
I finished
but
my-
from Holland High School, I was hot step.
Oh, yeah.
Sophomore, maybe I don't remember.
Would you
Junior
show us
year.
a picture of you and Jim?
All right. There's us when we were smiling sweetly at each other.
I'm going to assume that you had a car then.
I did. It's down in the basement. You want to see it? 1928 Model A Roadster pickup. You've seen it go by in every parade we've had.
Oh, right.
That was his car.
And so you could come and date Peggy and be
Well,
quite
if we went on a real date, then I'd drive my Model A down to Glen and get my brother-in-law's car,
Oh.
and then come back and pick up Peg, and then I'd take her to Holland. We'd go to the movies or something. And then I'd bring her home. Then I'd go back down and pick up my Model A. There was no heater in my Model A. There was no side curtains. It just was an open car.
Yeah.
Tell us about this picture,
This
please.
was the prom, and I think it was probably in the spring of 1947 when, no, it's been 1948. And Jim Boyce was my date, and this little girl back here was Nancy Simmons.
Wow.
And I cut her off. I have more pictures of this lovely prom, and the chaperones. This was the Horizon Club, and the people who were in charge were Frank and Gertrude Dennison, because Gertrude was my Horizon Club leader. And I have their wedding picture in my album, and we
Tell us
go
where
way back.
this was.
This was at the American Legion Hall in downtown Saugatuck, because that was a very elegant place to have a party. You could decorate it with crepe paper streamers and balloons and the beautiful wooden walls. You know, it was nice, and it had a great dance floor. The floor was
But your
wonderful.
high school must have had a gym. It seems like you could have.
Yeah,
No.
but to get 12 couples in a gymnasium,
There weren't enough kids. There were 7 in my graduating class. At that time, you know, these were the Depression kids that we could put, if we'd had a bus, we could have put the whole high school on one bus. We didn't get a bus until maybe my senior, maybe 1950. And there were 7 in my class, 8 in the one before me, and the big class was my brother Don's a year later, and I believe there were 19 in that class. That was a huge class. Huge. So there weren't many kids in school. There were 5 on the faculty. The superintendent taught physics and chemistry and American history and U.S. history, and the principal taught world geography and all the math.
Wow.
So, and then there was a business teacher and an English teacher, and there was a 5th one. What have I missed? Science. No, that was the superintendent, taught all the sciences. Biology he taught too.
Who was your superintendent?
L.H. Waugh.
Yeah.
And when he would have superintendent things to do, he would say, "Oh, Margaret, will you take the class, please?" And so I would end up teaching my own history class or my own whatever class I was in, and till he could come back. And it was, I guess I sort of thought maybe I'd turn into a teacher someday.
You mentioned you would borrow or go get the fancier car when you had a big date. I'm going to assume the prom was a big date. What else would you consider a big date? Did you ever go to the pavilion?
We went roller skating a lot, but that didn't require transportation because she lived here in town.
Oh.
The only time I would get transportation was when we went to something in Holland, a football game or a basketball game or movies.
Uh-huh.
But basketball in Holland was nothing to her because she was so involved with basketball here in Saugatuck.
Yeah.
And I would go to the basketball game and the Model A. Well, in the middle of the winter, it didn't make any difference. We'd go down to the soda lounge after the basketball game, and I'd take her home 4 blocks in the Model A, and I'd go home and drain the radiator and put the Model A in the barn. And
There you were.
well, that's
So
all we
when-
had, but it ran.
So when did you then get married?
It's 2 days after Labor Day in 1950.
Good. He remembered the very
Well, the trouble
details.
is, Labor Day moves.
Oh, that's true. Oh, you can get in trouble
The
there.
first year.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary, my foot. Oh, now what's wrong?
Yeah. Oh dear.
So by that time, then you were, if you were still dating Peggy, you must have been in that choir at the Congregational Church. And so you were
We just,
forever part of that.
we just keep singing.
And tell me what your...
I went to the Gibson church, and I was the youth group. I was the janitor. I was the deacon, the one that got up and passed the collection plate around.
Wow.
And I was the one that, before the sermon, well, you had to go throw another log or 2 on the fire. And
How many people in the congregation?
10,
Wow.
15.
Well, this was a
I
huge
could remember when Mr. Berline put a $5 bill in the collection basket. A $5 bill. Most of the time there was nothing in there but nickels and dimes and quarters and stuff like that, but a $5 bill, my word.
How did they get a pastor, or did you have a rambling one?
The church was affiliated with a Methodist church in Holland.
Ah.
And the minister would preach in Holland first, and then he would come out here and preach at 1 o'clock in Gibson.
Huh.
And then pretty soon the Methodists dropped us, and then we had seminary students.
Oh.
My dad really tried to hold the thing together,
Uh-huh.
and up until Mother died in '63, well, I guess even before that, maybe when the tornado blew the house away, why, that's when he gave up to trying to keep the thing together.
Now tell me, was that the tornado, or was it 57 when the
56.
lighthouse? 56.
April 3rd.
And you, do I understand your uncle lost a house in that, or who
No.
all?
My dad, my
Your
mom, and my sister were all home, and whoosh, it went away.
Well, what happened to them? I mean, they
What
must.
happened to them?
Yeah.
My mother and my sister were laying on the floor of the back porch out in the backyard, and my dad was laying wrapped up in the pump, electric pump that came out of the kitchen all in the backyard. Mother never lost her glasses.
Wow.
She floated like Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz
It
on that
sounds
floor.
like it.
But Patty got tumbled quite a bit. This is a picture of the house the day after.
Show it to him.
I don't know if you can see that. It's quite small. But it truly
Amazing.
was gone. And
Well, the roof wound up over in Grascup.
Mm.
and
That was
Colfax.
56.
56, April 3rd, 1956.
Same one that took the lighthouse out. Huh?
Yep.
Yes, the beach house, the old lighthouse, the
We
Boyce
went
farm,
kitty corner, it took out,
Wolf house.
well, we went pretty near to Grascup before it picked up and then went north to
Then
Standale.
Standale and Allendale, it really hit up there. But Boyce's had things mailed back from Owasso,
Huh.
which is way over. on the
Right, that's a
other
long
side of
ways
the state.
east of here.
And you know, funny things happen. They had a Siamese cat that Jim's dad really hated. He never liked cats, and this one, Siamese are not necessarily lovable.
No.
And every time the cat would sleep on the bed and he'd find it, he'd fling that cat fiercely, you know. And after the tornado, it was quite a bit later, the cat showed up and never would go in the house again. And never would, when he appeared, the cat would run. And I think the poor cat probably thought, wow, he really got me this time. Oh, dear.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, his pet dog, it killed Spooky.
Killed Spooky, yeah.
Yeah, the Cocker Spaniel that he had.
So, you two are married, and you're starting your family, and what kind of work did you do to support your growing family?
Well, I worked for Dickie Newnham in a filling station, which is where Eiley's is now, Shell Station.
You were a mechanic?
Pump jockey, grease
Okay.
monkey,
Uh-huh.
change tires and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And then I worked for
Greenhouse.
Force's Florist, which was John Klooster, but the name of it was Force's Florist,
Uh-huh.
which is, yeah, just east of where the township office is now, where the greenhouse used to be back in there, and we raised
Right.
flowers
Uh-huh.
year-round. And then I worked for Montgomery Ward's in Holland.
Uh-huh.
And
As a mechanic, I bet.
No,
No?
salesman for sporting goods. That's how I got kind of involved with the boats.
I
And
wanted to know about
and I
that. How
worked
did you
for-
get into boats?
Worked for Goodyear Tire for a while, again in Holland.
Uh-huh.
But when I was working for Montgomery Ward's, why, Harold Johnson was working at Saugatuck Marine, and he came to Montgomery Ward's to buy a water pump because they had a lady bookkeeper coming and had to have running water for the toilet because there was no running water there in the wintertime. And we got to talking, and he, what do you want to say, recruited me to come and work for Saugatuck Marine
And where was that located?
over where all the condominiums are there next to the bridge.
Oh,
And it belonged to,
That belonged to Frank Dennison.
right.
And I went to work there, and I worked there for, I don't know, till 60.
Uh-huh.
And then in 61, we started Saugatuck Yacht Service, where it's at right now. But
Who's
that,
we?
That was Harold, myself,
Harold
Yeah.
Johnson of the old Standard Service Station?
his brother.
his brother.
His brother, okay.
Harold and I, and Bob Weller from Battle Creek, and Roger Pruse from Battle Creek. Now, Bob Weller was a
Developed.
developer, real estate developer.
Uh-huh.
And Roger Pruse was a ready-mix contractor, owned the ready-mix plant and so forth. And the four of us started Saugatuck Yacht Service. And,
That's quite an undertaking.
well, it was a lot of work.
Yeah,
Now, look back at it, it was fun
sure.
because we were young and strong and could do it. And we did a lot of things that our partners, Bob and Roger,
Uh-huh.
didn't think we could do in the time we had to do it.
So they put the money up,
They
and you
had
did
the
the work?
capability to raise. They didn't put much money into it. They had the capability of going to the bank and say, "Hey, we'll co-sign the note,"
Uh-huh.
because Harold and I had nothing. I had to borrow $2,500 from my dad. I'm 33 years old or some such matter. In order to put my money into the thing to get started.
But you did have a few children by then, didn't
Oh,
you? About how many?
5.
5. So, there you are.
But we
So you
we
started the
couldn't get
marina.
paychecks. We were doing a good business,
Yeah.
but we couldn't get paychecks. We went from November till February without a paycheck 1 year.
Ugh.
She worked nights at Coral Gables
In the winter?
in the winter,
And it was open.
and it was open.
Six till
And
two.
she would have supper ready and go to work,
Uh-huh.
and then I'd feed the kids and get them all to bed and this, that, and the other thing, and she would take along her little plastic pot, whatever the case may be, because if they had like standing rib roast, after they got through carving it, here was all these rib bones.
Oh.
And she'd bring them home and make stew.
We had a lot of El Forno stew that
Yeah.
winter.
But anyway,
Whatever worked.
So
times,
you
times
start-
were rough
And you started that marina,
in 1961.
and that was just, what was the land like before you built it into
Look out
something?
the back door and don't see a building. There
Uh-huh.
was trees. There was swamp. There was nothing.
Uh-huh.
And we cut down the trees and leveled the ground and built the buildings,
And that was,
drove all the piling.
that little area there was next to the park house. And that was actually, that was a little town that was called Saugatuck's first suburb, right?
I guess so.
Yes, it was.
I never
So
heard that.
it's
but
quite
the-
a famous little area, but and I think it used to be a wild zoo or farm or
There
something.
wasn't, at the time we bought it, there was
Uh-huh.
nothing there. Several fish tugs had tied up there.
Uh-huh.
The Peel brothers,
Yes.
and then they moved down Clovers.
Jim's shaking his head about
Wasn't it?
something.
There was nothing there. Early, back before, maybe even during the early part of the 40s, what was the guy's name that built the big pavilion over there in Douglas?
Harding?
What?
Harding?
Harding. Had an option on the property, and he was trying to sell it to the village of Saugatuck at the time to put a sewer plant on, and that included where Peterson's Mill is and where Saugatuck Yacht Service is, all that piece of property.
Uh-huh.
And that deal fell through, and Peterson wound up with the mill property and Sewers, Frank Sewers.
That's who the boats were there.
Frank Sewers owned what was Saugatuck Yacht Service, and we bought that piece of property from Frank Sewers.
Aha.
And he had some slips out in front that were okay for
Fish.
rowboats.
Uh-huh.
And the fishermen had parked on it, just
Mhm.
tubs, fish tubs, had parked on it, and they had a shanty down there. But other than that, why, it was basically vacant land.
So you put in the piers
And all the
and
piers,
built the big building,
built the buildings.
and
We bought the elbow room and built the piers all out in front of the elbow room, enlarged the elbow room. At one point in
At
time,
least
almost all the piling in the harbor in Saugatuck, Harold and I drove.
did you?
All of them at Saugatuck Yacht Service and in Peterson's Pond there at one point in time. Everything on the far side of the river, all of the piling out in front of where the pavilion was, that was all, Harold and I drove all that.
that's why he has arthritis today.
Yeah. Well, all right. So Jim's busy doing the marina, and you're home raising the babies.
I stayed home. I worked nights at Coral Gables for quite a few years there because the boatyard was very busy, but we didn't make any money. So I would go to work at 6 and work until 2. It was the only thing going in town. And that was the in place. That's where people went after ball games, and anybody, fill up the place with pizza eaters, and weekends were quite busy. And Bobby Clark was in the kitchen, and I was the late person. We were open until 2 in the morning.
When did you sleep, Peggy?
Not much. I would sleep when I got home at about 3, and then I'd sleep until 6 o'clock to get up and get the kids going. And then in the afternoon at 5 o'clock, there was a wonderful program called Channel 3 Clubhouse. And the kids watched it raptly, and I would just crawl myself under my coffee table and fall sound asleep for the duration of that. That was just wonderful. And I could sleep 20 minutes like a stone, and then I was fix the supper and up and at 'em and out the door, and that was it. But, you know, because of our financial lack, whatever you want to call it, I also did a lot of canning and freezing, and we had a huge garden down at his sister's because they had a farm down in Glen, and we had
She babysat.
garden, and I took care of, I babysat with other people's kids during the day, preschoolers.
When did you get to be Mrs. Michigan?
Actually, I was, it was 1959, and I was nominated, was Mrs. Michigan State Fair. I have to qualify that because it's a little different procedure. And Mrs. Simonson down at the photo studio, I had just been in there taking some pictures and to be developed, and she said, look at this. It was something she saw in the paper. I think I'll nominate you for Mrs. Michigan. You're doing all this stuff, and you do all the canning and the freezing, and you've got campfire girls and stuff, and you're good looking. I'm going to nominate you. And I said, oh, sure, go ahead. So she took my picture and sent it in, and out of 60-something candidates, I won.
Show us your picture.
It's hard to believe, but there I was
With
Tony Bennett,
Ooh.
Queen of the State Fair, and it was a big deal because it was 4 days at a classy hotel in downtown Detroit, and
Breakfast in bed.
breakfast in bed.
I didn't even get breakfast that morning because
No.
they were so busy serving her breakfast in bed.
And we had a chauffeur, and I met many celebrities and was truly treated like a queen.
Oh,
And then I was eligible to enter the Mrs. America, and they told me all the rules, and I said, forget it. I couldn't do it. I didn't have time.
yeah.
But it was fun. And after some time later, I turned into an art teacher, and one of the things that we were recommended was to put up a kind of a resume of things you've done, your degrees and awards. And so I had my degrees and awards and all that. And then I had this little picture of the Queen Peggy. Well, the kids really didn't give a hoot about the master's degrees and things like that. This was it. Because
Yeah, we even met Della Reese at that restaurant.
yeah, good
Wow.
old Della. What I did, when Kathy, our oldest, we had 3 more boys while we were building that boatyard. So it was kind of not a good financially flush time, but you make do, you know, you get by. And then when Kathy graduated from high school, she was our oldest, and she started at Grand Valley, because I used to say, someday I'll go to college, someday I'll go to college. And she said, Mom, you would really love it up here.
Oh, yeah.
Because she did. And so that next summer, in summer of '68, I started at Grand Valley.
Uh-huh.
And I took 20 hours a term, and because you didn't have to pay for anything over 15 hours of credit, and I went, in 3 years I got a degree in art education, and started teaching. I did part of a year at the Douglas Elementary School as a part-time teacher, and then the part-time, they decided they didn't want part-time teachers there, so I applied to fill a vacancy for 1 year at West Ottawa High School, and I was hired as a crafts teacher there. And then I ended up spending 20 years at West Ottawa High School, and I turned into the chairman of the art department, and a lot of interesting and good things. And then I also taught for 7 years as an adjunct professor at Grand Valley University.
Wow.
So that was what I did in my spare time.
Well, no, wait a minute. I think when I used to go to Congregational Church, you mentioned how many times you had been the children's youth director or family potluck nights at Congregational
Well,
Church.
I was on the...
Taught Sunday school for
Yeah, I taught
Eon.
Sunday school for probably almost 40 years. I don't know. Jenna was 2 when I started teaching Sunday school, and I just stopped a few years ago, so probably 40 years. And I was on the Christian Education Board for many years, and that's when you run the potlucks and the family nights.
You two were always doing
Well,
that.
He was on the
For
board
a
of
long
deacons.
time, I was
Yeah.
either a deacon or a trustee with no, and finally I'd had it. I'd run out of ideas.
Well, because you've been doing it since
Yeah.
Gibson
Yeah,
Church.
yeah.
I was ringing the bell Sunday morning, every Sunday when I ring the bell. There's a piece of nylon rope in there.
Uh-huh.
That nylon rope was put up there. I donated it from the boatyard in 1961, and Charlie Gilman and the Sea Scouts put it up there, and it's been there ever
It
since.
still works.
And it still works. And
Jim,
you know, an odd thing, but
that's
there
a
it
long
is.
time.
Yeah.
It's a good rope.
yeah, well, nylon doesn't rot, and the manila rope that they would put up there, what was up exposed to the weather, would rot away, and when the rope broke, why, then they had to put a new rope in. Well, if we're going to put in new rope, let us put in nylon so it doesn't rot away, and that nylon was put up there in 1940, or 61.
All right. I want to know about the police force. And I realize you had a small little police action going on forever here in Saugatuck. But Kit Lane reminded me that you were one of the true early police officers.
Well,
Tell us about it.
I'm going to say in 1951, I was 21 years old. You had to be 21 to be a police officer.
Uh-huh.
Saugatuck was a rough town.
Rough in what way?
Just drinking on the streets and fights, and they had the jazz festival out north of town or south of town, and then the people would come to Saugatuck, and there was nothing for 'em, no place for them to go. Women dancing on the top of cars with nothing on.
Oh, wow.
And then the crowd, you know, how do you control a crowd like that? So anybody that could stand up, I guess, was hired as a police officer. They were given a badge, and everything else you provided yourself.
This was in 51.
Yeah, and
Okay.
for the first 2 or 3 years, well, the state police were in here in groups. Sheriff's Department was in here in groups, and the local police department, and there was about a dozen of us, I think. We worked 3 to a car. They were our own cars.
Huh.
And the car had a radio in it, so we were in contact with one another. But we worked 3 to a car, and one guy always stayed with the car, and you never went anyplace by yourself.
Who were some of your fellow officers?
Hilton Brown, Bob Breckenridge, and myself were a trio. We worked in one car. And then there was Maury Herbert and Aldrink, Gordon Aldrink, I think it was Gordon.
And Harold Whipple.
And Harold Whipple, and Brooks, Larry Brooks, and Joe Dembski, and Harry Noonan.
Oh, that was it, 9 guys.
What?
9 guys, that's what you had.
Well, there were more of them. I can't come up with all
Well,
the names.
did
But
the
anyway,
Saugatuck Council buy you, or fund you, and
paid us.
they
Yeah,
paid you, and you worked on weekends or the whole week?
Basically, weekends.
Basically the weekend. That was
Basically
back when Holland was dry, and everybody came down.
Holland was wet.
Oh,
Well, dry on Sunday,
oh,
but that didn't make any difference. They would still had their own bars and stuff like that. It's just that the town could not handle the influx of people.
uh-huh.
And so it had to be cleaned up.
Uh-huh.
And
What was one of your wildest stories? Did you take people down to Allegan? Did you have a
oh yeah, we took the school bus one time.
school bus?
Sure, loaded them in the school bus. One guy drove the school bus, or the school bus driver drove the school bus. A couple of police officers hauled them to Allegan. They couldn't do anything with them. They didn't have room, so we hauled them back again.
And then what? What happened to them?
All they could do was find them
What did you pick them up for?
drinking on the streets.
Huh?
That was about the only thing you could do to stop it.
Uh-huh.
Pick them up and haul them to Junkerman. We picked up 2 guys one night sitting in front of the Toulouse restaurant now, drinking. Took them to Junkerman. Big bottle of whiskey, this, that, and the other thing, you know, hauled them up there. Junkerman took all the money they had.
Junkerman
Was J.P.
Oh, he was...
Lived down there in Bob Lord's house.
Oh, okay.
And he was the local justice of the peace. Took the guys back to their car, went on about our business, got a radio call that one of the guys had left something at Junkerman's. So we went back to Junkerman's, picked it up and took it back to where the car was, and here's the guy sitting there with a brand new bottle of whiskey wide open. So I just dumped it on the street. There was no sense in taking them to Junkerman. He'd taken all their money. And the guy cried.
Ah.
He says, "That's all the whiskey I got." And he's standing there crying. You didn't worry about no money. Whether he went to jail or not, I was all the whiskey. I thought that was pretty damn stupid.
Did they have that little outside jail cell at that time?
Yeah, we couldn't use it.
Why not?
It was no facilities.
Oh.
If you put somebody in there, you had to stay right in there.
Why?
Because there was no facilities. There was no...
Oh, they couldn't go to the bathroom.
No, there was no fire alarms, no bathrooms, there wasn't anything.
Oh, okay.
I mean, even back then in those days,
That was
back in history, you had to have some way to be able to rescue people, and there wasn't nothing.
Did you ever feel your life was in jeopardy? Did anybody get mad at you?
The only time I was really concerned was when, before the what was the hotel that was there where the ship and shore is?
Oh, it's Mount Ballhead Hotel.
What was that, Mount Ballhead? I went around one end and Hilton Brown went around the other end. And when I got to the back side, Hilton Brown wasn't there, but somebody was behind me and somebody was in front of me, and there was the hotel here and the river there, and I was one scared kid.
So what'd you do?
Ran. What else could you do?
Run into the river?
What? No, I turned around and just ran right whoever was
Past the guy.
past the guy.
Yeah, he ran track in Holland High School. He was a good runner.
Well, it
Now
saved
that was
the
the only
day
time
then.
I was really scared.
Yeah, well, he's lost most of the hearing in one ear because someone threw a firecracker at him in front of the crowbar. Boom.
Oh.
Blew up right by
They
his
came
ear.
out at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they'd come out of the basement of the pavilion. And I was standing there
Down.
leaning against the car, my arms folded, watching them all go by, and I saw this stream of smoke coming across the air, and I turned my head and stuck up my hand, and it blew out there. It left imprints in my hand,
Wow.
but this
saved
ear
you.
is still ringing.
Now, what happened on May 6th, 1960?
Well, I sat down to eat my lunch and took a bite out of it, and the fire siren went off. And next day, when I went back to work, there was a sandwich, so I took the next bite out of the thing. The pavilion had burned down.
I heard tell you were the first car
I was.
on the scene, that you had some sort of gizzy on the top of your car.
What do you want to say? We had purchased the old police car.
Where did you
The first
purchase?
police car that Saugatuck owned was a 1956 green two-door Ford.
Uh-huh.
And when they, in 59, when they were going to get rid of it, we bought it,
Meaning you and Peg?
our family.
Okay.
That was the
We
car.
bought it. And it still had the marine radio, or the police radio in it. And I worked for the police department then. But anyway, I drove down and I parked it underneath the stoplight, turned off the ignition and left the key in it, and went around back of the pavilion to see what I could do about fighting the fire. And yeah, I was one of the first ones there. The
What were
fire-
your feelings when you saw that happening?
How to get to the fire, because it was above the theater, and it was a wooden stairway that went up the back,
Outside.
and there was great clouds of black smoke. I mean, the doorway was full,
Uh-huh.
coming out that there wasn't any flame. And Billy Wilson and I went around and we kicked in the door to get into the theater, and there was no fire in the theater. And then we went down into the dock part of the pavilion underneath and broke the door in there, and there was no fire down there. Then we went upstairs into the pavilion dance floor area, and there was no fire in there. It was all above the theater. And there was absolutely no way to get to that fire except through that door.
Oh.
And by the time things had got hoses rigged and fire trucks pumping and this, that, and the other thing, well, the fire had begun to come through the side and the roof of the theater, and then there was no way for anybody to get up there and do anything.
And
It was gone. It was just a case of saving everything else in the community. And at that point in time, the smoke was blowing over the village of Saugatuck.
Whoa.
And in that short period of, I'm going to say an hour maybe, or less, the wind changed and came out of the southeast and blew it out over the water. And so when the cottage across the river caught fire, it could have just as well have been the city of Saugatuck, or the village of Saugatuck.
Which cottage? I didn't know about
I don't
that.
know whose it was.
It was Underwood.
Oh,
But it
Jane Underwood's cottage? By the Beachway.
Yeah, right by the Beachway.
And the Beachway didn't
No,
get it?
Beachway didn't. But that
Wow.
cottage back in there caught fire and burned. And there was a lot of other
Wow.
grass fires over there, and they took the kids from the high school with a school bus, took them across the river, and those kids are running around in the woods over there, burning
Putting fires out.
Oh my gosh.
stuff away from the
Save
buildings,
woods.
leaves and stuff like that.
Amazing.
And they didn't have any tools to start with, and eventually, they scrounged up enough stuff. But those kids saved an awful lot of cottages over there, because that was all dry.
Huh.
Because the embers were floating.
The embers
Sure.
were floating.
Sure. Amazing.
But, how it started, my opinion, a guy, I think his name was Jack, was coming to open the thing up because he was going to open the theater, and he used to live up there. And he came over, he opened the place up and turned on the electricity and went to Billy Wilson's to get some supplies or whatever. And at that point in time is when it started.
So it's probably
whether,
electrical.
Whether it was an electrical fire or whether he left a heater plugged in, or whether
Flipped a cigarette.
laid a cigarette down,
Who
whatever it
knows?
was.
Yeah.
But that's,
What happened?
but it did start above the theater.
Interesting. Well, Peggy, how did you find out about that fire? What were you doing when the fire started?
I was home and with preschoolers, 56, who was here? I don't know.
No, this was
Kids.
60.
60. And because I took a stroller downtown with a little kid in it. And who was born then? I don't know. I forget how old they are.
Well,
It doesn't
see.
matter. Anyway, because the elementary school was still here, wasn't it? The whole Saugatuck Elementary and then Douglas was a separate district still at that time. Because I remember going down there with my kids and watching it burn quite a bit. And why I never took a camera with me, silly me. And we watched quite a while until it was kind of down, and then came home. But the fire siren went off, and you always knew when there was a fire. And somebody apparently told me that the pavilion was burning. Somebody called. And probably Ethel. She always knew where every
Yeah,
fire
she would
was.
have done.
And you were living in this house?
living in
No,
this
no.
house.
We
We
were.
moved here in
Yeah,
50.
first year we moved in here, I guess.
58. No, we'd been here because people laughed because they said, "Oh, you start your family and then you buy your house and then you start a business." You know, my aunt says, "Oh, you do everything backwards," because we had just bought this house when he and Harold decided to start their own business with the boatyard. So it was. Those tremendous house payments of $80 a month at that time.
Right.
And then
Then
when
right away had to add on to it.
we added
That
in,
made the house payments $90 a month and
Yeah.
no paychecks.
no paycheck, so it wasn't easy.
Borrow money from Daddy to pay the house payment.
One time we borrowed
one
our
time.
$90. That wasn't too bad.
Peggy, I didn't ask you earlier. just how you got started with your artwork. Were you encouraged as a child by
Always.
some special person in your life?
I have some lovely paintings here by my grandmother. She studied at the Chicago Art Institute and the Chicago School of Art, both of them. And she was going to be an artist before she was married, but ladies didn't have careers, so she didn't continue. But I have here in my dining room, and I hope you'll...
Is she one of them?
She's not one of these.
Oh,
this is
okay.
the other side of the family.
Okay.
A portrait of my auntie is there on the wall, and perhaps you can put it on your film. It's around the corner in the dining room. And she did beautiful work. And my mother studied at Oxbow as a young lady, and she did a lot of artwork and ended up doing designs for the Green and Howard Pennant Company here in Saugatuck. And I just thought that everybody, when you were 7 years old, you used oil paints and you painted with your grandmother. And I usually tell people that my mother always would encourage me, and she said, "Oh, don't do the dishes, I'll do the dishes. You go paint something." So, hey, I painted.
Right.
And I just can't imagine not painting. I've always, even with all those kids and little kids, and they'd all take a nap. And so I declared that I would paint on Tuesday afternoons. And I've changed it now, it's Tuesday morning, but I always tried to paint something. And not a lot at that time, but gradually more and more. And I just loved to paint. And make jewelry. And when I went to Grand Valley, I was an art minor and a psych major, and then I turned it around and majored in art. And being the art teacher it's a thrill, because you have kids, which I love, children, old kids especially, high school ages, and you get to make art, and it's the best of both worlds. It was perfect for me.
I forgot to ask you earlier, you were in on the beginnings of the Red Barn Theater, I believe.
Oh, it's when it first started, way back, the first year, it was in the high school gymnasium. And my nephew was the Winslow boy in that play. That was the first play they did, and my, not nephew, cousin, Judd DeYoung, was in that. And then...
Do you remember what year that was?
No, I don't.
Late 40s or early 50s?
Early 50s, I believe.
Okay.
They always came for summers. And as a little girl, I couldn't wait for Abby to come, and because I could stay with him in the town, and that was always neat. And it might have been the 40s even. Late 40s. I don't know. Somebody.
Were you ever in any of those productions?
I never got into that. You know what? Rehearsals drive me nuts. I can't. It's always hurry up and wait. So I'm not a good candidate. And I was in one production out here, Annie Get Your Gun, and I was the lady on the porch knitting, and I was in a dance scene or something, and that's about all that I ever aspired to do.
Did you ever do any artwork for the theater?
I did a lot of costumes for them. I did all the costuming for the Sound of Music, and I did the costuming for the My Fair Lady when they did that one.
Wow.
And
that's when you were being busy being mother.
Well, yeah, and my kids were in the Sound of Music. Kathy and Vicki were in the nuns chorus, and Jimmer and Linda and Virginia were all part of the Von Trapp family. And that's when Linda really got the stage bite. She really loved it. And they were in quite a few productions as teenagers, and then she even went to New York for quite a while and pursued the being a drama lady, and then ended up preferring costuming. But that was, and I was on the board of directors for the Red Barn when Paul Stewart Graham was there. just, I've always been interested. I love to go to plays, and I would support theater anywhere, but I don't want to be in it.
Jim, as you then have been associated with river life from the youth as well as when you had the yacht service, what do you see has changed?
What has
What
changed?
strikes you as the biggest change in the way of life on the river?
Well, of course, there's more boats, and there is more families using the boats versus the big boat. It's a whole lot cleaner than it was when we were
Cleaner.
kids.
I
Oh,
love to hear that.
so much cleaner now than even in the early 60s. So much cleaner now.
You mean of debris or
The-
pollution or?
The water that goes by is water. It's not floating strawberries or
Sewage.
human waste or
Wow.
celery leaves or something like that.
Uh-huh.
That type of thing is all gone. You will never see the bottom of the river around here because it comes through the swamp. It's
Yeah.
too muddy.
Yeah.
But the water itself is so much cleaner. The
Oh.
river banks are cleaner.
I
It's just
love
not the
hearing
garbage.
that.
And that, and of course it's a resort, so it is well used river, and then people seem to get along now, with the fact that the boats are here and they don't get into arguments like they used to in the early days when the fishermen felt that the river was theirs and they would go through and create their wakes and slam the boats around, and people were down there waiting for them at the dock with their pitchforks and stuff like that and say, hey, you guys slow down or you're in trouble. Well, this is our river. No, it ain't your river. You're going to pay.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I've missed these
There was-
stories.
There was a lot of animosity between the guys
Uh-huh.
that used the river year-round and felt it was their river,
Uh-huh.
and these other people were infringing on their
Right.
rights. And well, the fishermen are gone and the boaters are here, but even the boaters would not be careful of one another's rights.
Uh-huh.
We used to have a terrible time there at the yacht service with people going by with too much wake.
Oh, right.
And now that's, well, of course, not on the river, so maybe it's still going on, but you don't hear about it now like it did.
Well, there's a lot of police protection down there, it seems
Well,
to
there
me.
never was any. There was a little bit when I was on the police department. We had a boat,
Uh-huh.
and but patrolled on weekends, dragged a few bodies back in, stuff like that.
Peggy, I'm curious as to what you see. It's the giant question. I mean,
Yes.
you went to this small school, and now you're on the school board of this very impressive, sometimes called elite school. What do you see as the greatest changes, and how did it come about?
Let's see. I think that it's always been a college prep school. When I was there, you had no choice of subjects in high school. If I back up, as an elementary school student, there was first and second grade together, third and fourth together, fifth and sixth. There were those were 2 grades to a room with 1 teacher in each grade, and we used to have an hour for lunch, and nearly everyone went home. You would go home and eat your lunch, and you would come back, and the kids would walk. And then now they've shortened that down to 20 minutes, about 25 minutes, and everyone stays there. And there are more kids. There's a broader spectrum of subject matter that kids can study. They have a lot more options. And we were, compared to his school, we were the big school in the area, and there was a field day at the end of the school year, and all the kids from the country schools would come into our big school and spend the day and do do a lot of track events like races and so forth. And
But I wasn't interested in her then.
No, I never knew he was there. And
I was at the
you know,
field day, and so was she, but I didn't
Isn't
know.
that
he was
fun?
2 years older, and I wouldn't have noticed anyway. And then when there was this great consolidation movement, the state of Michigan declared that every school has to belong to a K-12 district. So there was a scramble. They have to have a high school.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that ever held out was Glenn School, and they're still only an they're an elementary district.
Wow.
And they just did not get into that. They kept voting no. They weren't going to join anybody, and by golly, they're still there.
Amazing.
So for a while, Saugatuck took in tuition students. Harrington School up in Holland, we had a lot of kids from there. Pullman, Glenn, which greatly swelled the classes for a while, and then that all settled out, and the different school districts became attached to a high school. So the most we ever had was probably the year Linda. I know when Linda was in 9th grade, there were 103 students in that class.
Wow, that is big for
Yeah, for
Saugatuck.
Saugatuck. And that was all these tuition kids. And then
Uh-huh.
as the different schools finally went back to where they belonged, by the time that class graduated even, there weren't as many. But there probably was 70. It was a big class. The changes, I was on the board in the 60s as a mom. All my friends elected me to be on the Board of Education. And I can remember talking at that time to Mr. Euler. We were having a meeting, and he was the superintendent the last year I was on the board. And he said, it won't be long, and teachers are going to be getting $10,000 for teaching a year, and we're going to be paying all our insurance plus dental insurance. And those of us on the board couldn't believe it.
Huh.
So, and
What
that
a
was,
change.
It has
Yeah.
changed. And what has changed for teachers and women especially, I said this before, was the master contract, when equal pay for equal work was brought into being with a contract. And it was a very good thing to
What
happen.
year do you remember when that first, was that part of the
I'm going to say
ERA thing?
maybe 1965.
Or earlier.
Earlier than the ERA. It was the teachers who were sons and daughters of the auto workers
Uh-huh.
in Detroit,
Right.
and they figured out what a union can do, and they organized,
I remember.
and they formed the MEA
Mm-hmm.
and the American Federation of Teachers, AFT. Both of AFT is more militant than the MEA, but that was the first time. Now Saugatuck didn't join the MEA for years. I don't know, but they did get an association going, and probably about 1966 or 67, somewhere in there, was the first time there was a master contract, and the teachers did not have to come in as individuals and negotiate their wage,
Wow.
which they used to have to do. In
Yeah.
March, you would have to have a meeting with your principal or your superintendent and somebody from the board, and they would decide how much you were worth.
Uh-huh.
And that's when tenure also came in,
Uh-huh.
because they needed some protection, because maybe there was a nice lady teaching, like Miss Finnegan was here, and I'm sure they only paid her $3,000 a year, and she was here teaching English quite a while, and then they wanted a coach, and so
Yeah.
they fired her and hired someone else that would coach. And
Yeah, just a minute.
so those are the kinds of things that happen.
You want to come here as Jack Sheridan, or you want me to bring you out of the phone?
Oh, I'll call him back.
She's going to have to call you back because we're under a camera right now. Okay, thank you. Bye.
He has my pictures. He has a ton of them that I was going to. He's going to give them back. Saugatuck kids have more opportunities, certainly, than I did. When I was a junior, I know a lady came to visit the school, and they wanted to meet with the girls. And so the girls were there in this study hall. And she said, well, girls, you have two choices as careers. If you want to become professional women, you can either be a teacher or a nurse. And that was our options, or we would be someone's secretary. And that they knew that that was what we could choose between. And this lady happened to be pushing nursing, but that stuck with me for a long time. And now you can be anything, and there are girls involved in all the classes and boys involved in all the classes, and I think education is better than it ever was. More kids are, another phenomena that's changed is the dropout rate. Half of my class dropped out by the time they were seniors, and this was normal. Normally, most kids would go to 16. In the country schools, they would finish the 8th grade, and then they would leave school. And now, most kids finish school, finish high school, and there's no place anymore in the modern world for the boy who was going to go out and dig ditches.
No.
And the other thing is, the Army won't take them either. They used to say, well, I'll join the Army. The Army doesn't want them. Uncle Sam says, no, finish school first. So that is a difference. More kids go on to additional training than used to. And you have to know, school is it's a process. It's never, this is school.
No.
It's always an ongoing process of change, and you add this, and you say this is no longer needed. And we're very fortunate here in Saugatuck to have so much support from the community, because only, say, if everyone voted that's a parent that has a kid in school, that's 20%.
Yeah.
And the other 80% do support the school system. And not all communities can say that.
Right.
And so Saugatuck is very special. We have 250 volunteers. 250 volunteers.
And what is the enrollment of our schools now?
About 700 something, I forget the numbers.
Wow.
And
we are accredited, and
oh yeah, we're a North Central school, which is not an easy accreditation.
And how many students out of a graduating class go on to a higher form of education?
I can't give you the numbers, but it's probably 75%. And then we don't know how many are like me. I was probably a statistic that didn't go on.
A late bloomer.
Because I went 20 years later.
Yes.
And many of them do that. So
Wonderful.
you have a good background if you're here. Cam did all right, coming from Saugatuck High School.
I chose a small school. I like small schools.
Yeah. I think that, if you had to have a 3-word motto, opportunity for education. You can't do it to them.
No.
They have to choose to take these opportunities, but the opportunities are there.
Any parting words you want to, any story or thought that you want to finish up with, Jim?
I'll probably think of something someday, but right now
You've lost it. Can we pick up just a little bit on these pictures, and then we're probably about getting down to the end here, I suspect.
25 minutes.
Well, I'm going to show you my ladies and gentlemen here. These are the ladies. This is Annie Cowan Wheeler, who came from a little town in Ireland called Newtownbarry, and she met John Wheeler there.
Wow.
In Newtownbarry. He was working on an estate. He was a builder. His daddy was an architect, and he learned how to build. They called him a wood joiner. He not necessarily a carpenter, but he made furniture, and he did fine woodwork, among other things. He also played the fiddle and the concertina, and he was a Yankee. Jack of all trades. Well, anyway, so he was the Irishman.
When do you think they came over?
They came in just after the Civil War. And they came to the town of Singapore because he had been working on the Ainsley estate in Newtownbarry, and one of the sons from Ainsley had come over here, and the Ainsley farm was right down the road here. That was his connection.
Good.
with why he came to this area. They came through Canada, so they're not Ellis Island people.
Uh-huh.
And then they had 4 daughters and a son. The oldest daughter was born in Singapore, and then the lumber was gone, so they moved to Saugatuck, which was the Flats, or Newark. And one of those daughters was Abby Wheeler Robinson. And Abby Wheeler Robinson married this handsome gentleman who came into town with the telephone company and Western Union. They were establishing a Western Union office here, and that's where Miller Robinson came from. He was also a jeweler and watchmaker.
Wow.
So I make jewelry now.
Mm-hmm.
He would love that. And they had 2 daughters. And then she died, and he married another lady and another lady. And there were 2 more daughters. So my mother had half-sisters, twin half-sisters. One of the oldest daughter of this couple is Irene. That's my mother. And she married this handsome dude from Chicago named Dave Webster. And he came here as a young man, I told you that, sailing in on his sailboat, and married the local telephone operator. And there's me. I'm the 3rd child of that group.
That union.
And there is my husband, Jimmy Boyce, age 20. That's how old he was when we were first married.
Amazing.
And then this is, I have 4 daughters. This is Linda. And the rest of them are up there on the wall. And her daughter, Justine. And I had this because we were talking about 6 generations of women going to Saugatuck schools.
Wow.
And that, married all these guys who came in, moved into town, but we did it as a school thing. And they've all graduated from, she didn't graduate from Saugatuck School, but she was one of the first graduates, and she and me and her.
Yeah.
So
How
that was that
exciting.
little story. And this one I kind of like because that's my mother and father, and they were married in what is the Singapore Bank bookstore now. This is the fireplace in that bookstore because that was Gracie Wilson's apartment. Gracie and Dodie Wilson lived there, and my mother used to take care of the Wilson boys a lot. Gracie would send them up to the telephone office knowing full well that she couldn't get away.
That would be Garth.
Garth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he always said she was his first babysitter.
Huh.
And they were married on 1926, October 18, it says here.
Fun.
So that one is, that's it.
Show us the high school pictures of you and Jim.
Oh, the prom, I think he...
No, the other one. It's right there. Yes,
here.
I love that.
This one. Yeah, that's a bad...
It's a little glare, but
Yeah, I
it's
don't
a
know
neat one.
if you can get this. This is his senior picture. And so he was
Chris.
18 and I was 16 in this. My mother had this.
Nice.
I'd forgotten about those too. Because
Yeah.
that's just a school picture there. And she put us together and put gold around us.
Yeah.
It's
Jim, you
kinda
have
nice.
some pictures. I don't think we saw yours.
Well,
I think you should show
basically all it is my father.
Yeah.
And tell us about him and what he did, what he worked at around here.
Well, he was a farmer.
And
And the oldest son, years ago, always inherited the family farm or the family home or the...
sure. Yeah.
Well, so he was the fruit farmer.
Yeah. And he worked for the county?
Well, he started out, he got elected supervisor of Laketown Township.
Oh.
And then he ran for county treasurer
48.
and won. And he was county treasurer till he died in 1973.
So from 1948 to 1973, he was Allegan County treasurer.
Yep.
Very active. He knew Jerry Ford quite well.
Well, he was a
very,
politician.
very active in
He
the-
knew all of these political guys and as well.
Oh, that's cute.
That's me with my grade school, something or other, going to. And
Wait, don't flap him too fast. He can't get it.
That's when you were the
police department.
police officer,
Yeah.
and Saugatuck got serious about
Yeah.
having their own service.
Yeah, and I look at the tie clip. Still got the tie clip.
Oh, good.
We don't throw anything away.
That's because we haven't moved in 40. We've been in this house for 45 years.
And so now, Peggy, you divide your time between painting and teaching painting and the arts pavilion, and
Got a
you're
board of
sticking more,
education.
and you're a writer too, right?
Yes, and one of the stories I've written that you will enjoy is I call it Police Story, and it's from the time he got on the police department until I wanted to just finish it up with some contemporary information about the police department, but it's so long, I don't know if the commercial record will put it in or not, because they did my fireman's story, and Dan asked me if I would write about the police department, and I said sure, and it just keeps growing.
You
'Cause-
need an editor.
Well, there's a lot of, it was quite a time period there. It's more than 2 pages double spaced to get.
So it's a
It's
serial.
Yes, it's a serial. And he did, when he was, Jim was acting chief for a while also, after we'd been here. He'd been on the force, and his first chief was Joe Dembski, and then there was Russell Collins.
Yeah, there
and-
was a
Crutel. I don't
Yeah.
know if you ever worked for him or not. But anyway, and then we didn't have a police chief for a while. And
well,
so,
but that would be the police chief would be hired for the summer, and then I would be, what do you want to say, on call for the winter. But I was it.
yeah, there
Yeah.
wasn't anybody else.
There wasn't anybody else.
And then when they wanted him to do it full time, he really liked the idea because he enjoyed police work.
It wasn't.
But we couldn't afford it.
Uh-huh.
It didn't pay enough. We were here in this house, and
Is that when Lyle came in then, or?
I think they
No,
hired
it was
somebody
before
else.
Lyle, but I don't remember. First one I think was a retired state trooper.
Well, I remember when people used to line up to get into Saugatuck, and you'd have to wait your turn out there in the Blue Star,
Yeah.
and the police would let you come in town.
That was such a mistake. They tried, well, that was one of the bright ideas that the city fathers had at that time. They said, let's close the town off. We'll just let a few in at a time.
Is that when the motorcycle problem was going on?
I don't know.
No, I
No.
have it. I have researched that, and it's in my little thing that I've been writing, and I could tell you, it was right after the jazz festival
Ah,
that we'd had so many people here. They decided, well, there's not room for all
Uh-huh.
these people. And we had gotten some publicity in the news,
Oh, yeah.
Newsweek magazine that said hottest town in the Midwest. If you want a party down, you come to Saugatuck, and so our reputation as a wild and woolly place had spread nationwide. So we were getting some rather relatively.
Yeah, there was a lot of dope
oh,
in the area, and
drugs.
or drugs, yeah.
yeah.
And the FBI was in here, and to the point where okay, we stopped a carload of guys one night, and it was not a good situation. And finally, one guy is showing me this badge, and he says, "Hey, don't let up on us." He says, "We're FBI."
Oh,
He says, "But we got to be able to go." He says, "But don't let up on us."
Oh.
Well, whether he was lying to us or not, we knew that something was up
uh-huh.
because there was so many strange men in town.
Uh-huh.
Well, we let the guys go, and we never did hear anything from it. But there was boats that left here that never made it to Chicago that blew up out in the lake.
Oh, wow.
So there was all kinds of
Strange
things going
things,
on,
yeah.
and what the local department doesn't know, the better.
Yes.
Okay, you can
Yeah.
understand that,
Uh-huh.
because we could screw it up trying to help them.
Is what they believed. Yeah.
Now, the jazz festival wasn't actually downtown Saugatuck, was it? Wasn't that out at the Prairie Farms area?
It
or-
was out there south at the old airport, south of town,
Yeah.
the other side of the
It was on my
overpass.
property.
Pardon me?
That was on my property.
Well, there was more
On
than
the
one.
Potawatomi property?
I had
Yeah,
two.
Oh.
there was one out here.
One
that-
out here, but there was also, the first one was down
first
there
one
with
was
Duke
south of town
Ellington.
by the old.
Duke Ellington came.
Yeah,
in.
Duke Ellington was here.
This one didn't create the
1959.
problem as much as the one south of town. This one was better organized. There were just too many people.
Uh-huh.
The town couldn't feed them. Town didn't have restrooms for them. The place where they set it up out there didn't have enough for area to take care of the people. It was just too many people. It was, you know, it was just shortly after that one they had in Pennsylvania, whatever,
Woodstock.
Woodstock. Yeah.
Woodstock.
People would come in piles of people,
Yeah.
you know, mobs. And the one in the south was, Duke Ellington was there. Because when we were in Detroit, the young man that was the waiter, I think, asked us about that jazz festival, and he's thought it would be just the most wonderful thing, and he was so, you know, happy to hear about Duke Ellington coming to Michigan, and that was at that time. So then I know that was 1959.
Uh-huh.
So that was during those times, and he was
I
on the
remember
police
that,
department then. That was kind of fun.
Were you ever a police person with Lyle Jones?
No.
No. He came after you.
Yeah.
When the boatyard, he couldn't do
Couldn't work all night and all day too.
Yeah.
because we knew when he was part-time in the police department, it was Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. So we could only talk to him on Tuesdays and Friday mornings because he was always tired, you know,
Sure.
because not enough sleep. He worked at Montgomery Ward's during a lot of that, and he didn't have to go to work until 9.
Uh-huh.
So he could sleep from 4 in the morning till 9, 8:30.
I don't know. You
Well-
guys were something else.
Well, you know, we have
Don't sleep.
what you say, a work ethic.
I guess.
We work hard.
Oh, this
dear.
has been wonderful.
Yeah, that painting was my mother's up there.
It's beautiful.
That was out at Silver Lake. She did that one. And
All right, so let's cut this. Shall we stop our interview here, and then we'll go around and then after that one of the Old Harbor, we'll get that one of Cora Bliss.
It was Cora Bliss Taylor, and when she was sitting, her back was to the big pavilion, and the Butler Hotel would have been right over here. And I believe that this is a little yacht club that used to be at the end of the area there. There was no dock all the way along here at all. And
You know, it was just a seawall and they tied up parallel to it.
right, and this was pinned even before the seawall was put in. It was just, you pull your boat up on the shore there. She puts her little IRW, Irene Robinson Webster,
Oh,
and it's Silver Lake through the little sand dunes. Now it's full of houses out there, and that's all gone, all covered with houses.
and then this
You wanted- Mention about that violin.
Oh,
Violin.
that was John Wheeler's violin.
from what year?
Oh, when he came over here, he brought him with him in the 1860s.
From Ireland.
From Ireland, and the bone bridge there that he hand carved that, and he used to make violins. I don't think that's one that he made. Oh, it's good too.
But we'd have trouble identifying
Yeah.
them.
That's all.
So this was your grandma?
My grandmother, her name was Margaret. I was named after her, and her
That one over there.
maiden
I
name
got
was
that.
Cox. Margaret Cox
And there's the Boyce family.
Webster. Yeah, there's the dad and all of his children. And now there's grandchildren stuck in all those pictures.
In the kitchen?
Yeah, there's one in here I want to show you.
Okay. did this one, Peggy?
Well, there's Carl Herman
Okay.
and Del Michael, the one up on top of that, and Rob Odell. I read of my Aunt Eleanor, done by my grandmother. And
What year do you think she painted that?
In the 40s.
Mhm.
Early 40s, I'm going to say.
This was a 1928 truck that the Boyce family owned, and when Jim was born, they brought him home from the hospital in that truck.
Yeah.
And Jim and Peggy dated in that truck, and now
I drove
They
it to
have
high
a-
school, my kids drove it to high school.
they have a date for every parade that Saugatuck-Douglas has, and their family's always represented. Do you remember when those parades first started?
Well, there's
Somewhere?
the first Memorial Day parade. I remember I was in grade school, and we went to school on Memorial Day, and then gathered the kids together, and we all, each room marched, and it must have been a cold spring like this one, because in my room, and I was in Miss Riggs's room, she gave us red tulips and white spirea and lilacs. So we all had red, white, and blue bouquets to carry. And that was Memorial Day, and it had to be...
May 31st, too.
Yes, it was the end of May then, or May 30th.
So here we have Peggy and Jim Boyce in front of the house that they've lived in for 45 years. Peggy said they bought it from Bob Cogernet, and she was so excited because it was warm, it was sunny, it was electricity was there, and it had hot and cold running water, all the things a young mother needs. Flowers.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you about the new carpet we got.
Ah,
We put
In our old house downtown.
newspapers underneath it to keep the cold out. Sitting there one night in the middle of the winter, and the rug was that high off the floor, the wind
Wind
pushed it up.
blowing under our house.